Good morning. I was here at Lime Tree in Oldham the other day at Tommy Robinson's one of many MEP electioneering events. I'll just play a few seconds of you. I did see all the missiles and bricks and I've narrowly avoided being hit in the face with a round concrete stone, so to speak. I'll just play a little bit. How peaceful these religion of peace people can be, especially when they've been told on Facebook and probably in the mosques to attack Tommy Robinson and any locals. Just play a few seconds. This report's off the media, but it's quite good. There's some of mine on here as well. Just look at the feeling of conciliation and peace and the overriding atmosphere of beauty and wonder coming from Islam.
Here in the UK, Tommy Robinson's campaign has moved to Oldham, which is a heavily Muslim populated area.
But it should be noted that this estate was chosen. It is a relatively poor white council estate. All these guys, Muslim guys, I actually saw them making their way to this area, escorted by a police van, would you believe? Yes, I mean, here they are with face coverings. Not so peaceful looking. A couple of them have obviously come straight from the mosque. He's got his mosque attire on. So he's one of the leaders, I would say.
The protesters came, probably around 100 of them. They started on one side, police did block them, and they actually came around.
Police really weren't expecting this. At this event, when these guys started approaching, all the young able-bodied men did make a point of rushing to the front because we thought they were going to break through and attack all the women and kids and well-wishers and locals. We shouldn't be too surprised at the behaviour of the religion of peace. Religion of peace. Oh, yes. That's a good one. Religion of peace. This was some years ago. These were a gang of bombers and shotgun-wielding, machete-wielding Islamists who were jailed for 18 or 19 years each for planning to kill Londoners, Tommy Robinson, EDL supporters, whatever, and they were quite incompetent, thankfully, but they were travelling down from Birmingham to London to bomb an EDL rally, and they took the large, huge modified firework, which was packed with ball bearings and shrapnel and nails and what have you, and they confirmed it was a viable device and it would have killed and wounded people. Here's the gruesome characters. Yes, they've lightened the picture. Would you believe it? This is the trick the Guardian and the Independent do. They were very, very tanned. So they've actually gone to Photoshop and they've lightened the picture to make them look less obviously Muslim. You do this all the time now. If you saw the original, which, you can get yourself, just put in, EDL assassins, and they're considerably browner than this, I'll tell you. Yes, they came up with 2 shotguns, machetes. Has got a picture of the weapons? Some of the reports have. No picture of the weapons on here. But combat knives, machetes. One of them was an imam. One of them was a holy man. So that tells you something. He was the leader. He had his little imam's white hat on when they arrested him in the van. Yes, well, we shouldn't be too surprised. Here's the BBC version. Again, using a bleached picture to make them look less obviously brown, which they were. I'm pretty brown, and these were browner than me. Yes, and they're all lots of Mohammeds. Oh, loads and loads of Mohammeds. But we shouldn't be too surprised because this so-called religion of peace has run the international slave trade, conceived it. The prophet of Islam, the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, was a slave dealer, a mass killer, a throat-slicing murderer in their Quran. It states it. He smited them by their necks. He killed the first several people at a village called Banu Qurayza, so his followers wouldn't feel guilty about murdering all these, 600 to 900 people. Men and older boys were executed at the first village, but the Quran says it could have been more. It could have been up to 1,000, and it took from early morning till late evening because they had to light torches to continue the mass beheading. This was a Jewish village, but of course the whole Christian Middle East was of course wiped out by Islam. Yes, it was. Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Israel mostly, Tunisia, Libya, all these countries used to be Christian. and were Christian for 450 to 500 years before that false prophet of Islam raised his supremacist master race ideology and told them to rush in, rob everything and steal their children. Yes, dealing in children to sell to old perverts is what built Islam, basically. And they did used to do mass castration, emasculation, cutting off everything to millions of boys, especially black boys later on, because this avoided them having free slaves in the future, and it's increased the value of these slaves at least 12-fold, we do say. So it was good for business. Okay, 60-70% of these poor boys who were castrated and had it all cut off died, but it was great for business, so they carried on slashing off genitals for about 1300 years. It's still doing it in parts in Saudi and Africa, I believe. There's still slave dealing going on in Africa today. So next time you hear about this good old religion of peace, just think back to the thousands and thousands of Islamist terror attacks all around the world, including Sri Lanka, where 250 people have died. If you put in Google worldwide Islamist attacks, there's a list of thousands and thousands of attacks, even on Wikipedia, anywhere you go, including obviously the carnage at Manchester Arena, not far from me, where they murdered 22 people. There's a big list here. You can put in going right back to 2000. There you go, 1980s, 1970s. Of course, in the 2000s it got really, really busy. I don't know how up to date it is, but there's thousands and thousands of people in the West being killed, and we must remember that every Ramadan, and well throughout the year really, they do slaughter members of the opposing Shia or Sunni tribe en masse, year in, year out. Here we are, Al-Shabaab, yeah, all of Somalia, Afghanistan, Nigeria. Most of the people killed from Islamist attacks, of course, fellow Muslims. Because the hatred, as President Trump said, the hatred of us is only kind of equalled by the hatred of each other. The hatred of slightly different gangs of similar master race, backward ideology, Islamists. And as I say, bear in mind, the whole Middle East was Christian for 450, 500 years. If you care to put in Google 700 dead cities, as I will now, you can actually see the old, now abandoned, churches, monasteries, villages and towns, many buildings of which still stand today. If I put in 700 dead cities, of course it won't tell you that jihad did this. It's in Syria. It won't tell you that jihad did this, of course. That's not quite PC, is it? But if you care to look here are the monasteries and churches which were wiped out by Islamic jihad. And there's some lovely pictures here. All these poor people, they even built they were so progressive and so rich, they even built swimming pools and everything. Look at these buildings. These buildings are from the year 500 AD, 4 and 500 AD. Look at it, it's lovely. And there's even massive surviving Crusaders forts all over the Middle East, especially in Syria. Not so many pictures on this one, unfortunately. But all these towns used to be Christian and quite rich and very progressive, but like Europe now, they were naive to the threat of this new ideology, unfortunately. Isn't it shocking? All these buildings still surviving from the 4th and 5th century before wicked Muhammad came along. There's a big reservoir, and at the side here they've made a pool. At one side, I think it's down here, they've got a pool, separate bathing area. Imagine how good that must have been. Loads of peaceful Christians trading, farming, you know, sunbathing and going in the pool in the summer sunshine. There's a few Syrian refugees living there now. Look at that. All these buildings from the 4th and 5th century. So there you go, guys. Look at that. That's an abbey. That's a giant abbey. Well, some of it's been robbed for stone. So anyway, don't forget that the religion of peace has never, in fact, been peaceful ever. It's killed 250 million people, and it's the most backward, racist and hateful slave-dealing ideology you could ever believe. So I'll leave us to finish with Rebel Media.
I'm Jessica Spencer with the Rebel. Here in the UK, Oldham, which is a heavily Muslim. They started with throwing eggs, and now they're actually going into the bins, and going into the trash bins, picking up bottles and throwing it to the side.
Don't they look considerate and peaceful and beautiful, these Muslims? Oh, look at them. Allah Akbar. Him in his mosque dress. Why would some of these...
Came probably around 100 of them.
I didn't see any of them being arrested, but I did see riot police chasing some of them away in a later clip.
To another corner.
Some of them wearing the Palestinian flag, notice? Yes.
Finding in bins lying around in front of the
Palestinian
houses.
flag.
I even saw them throw some bricks at Tommy Robinson's crowd.
So I'll put a link to this underneath, guys, but in fact the religion of peace, Islam, has in fact butchered about 250 million people. Every year there's about 20,000 Christians get killed for their faith because they do hate us. It's in the Quran, they should hate us, and they must hate us, and they must invade us, attack our kids, and attempt to overwhelm our societies. Okay, see you guys, bye-bye.